was a 22-year-old college student who loved sharing her daily life through Instagram stories and posts. She had around 3,000 followers, mostly friends from high school and college, along with some family members. Maya wasn't an influencer by any means, but she enjoyed connecting with people and sharing her photography hobby. In March 2022, Maya started noticing something strange happening with her Instagram account. She would post photos during the day, and by evening, she would receive comments from an account she didn't recognize. The username was something like @NIGHTWATCHER_2847, and the profile picture was completely black with no posts or followers. At first, the comments seemed innocent enough, things like beautiful day or nice photo on her pictures of campus or coffee shops. Maya thought it was just another bot account, so she didn't pay much attention to it. But after about a week, the comments became more specific. The account would comment things like, "I love that blue sweater you were wearing on photos," where Maya wasn't even wearing blue, or hadn't posted any pictures of herself that day. Maya started feeling uneasy, but convinced herself it was probably just someone who knew her in real life playing a prank. Things escalated when Maya posted a story showing her study spot in the library. Within minutes, the account had replied to her story saying, "3rd floor, northwest corner, table by the window." You look concentrated. Maya's blood ran cold. She was indeed on the 3rd floor in the northwest corner at a table by the window. She looked around frantically, but didn't see anyone she recognized or anyone who seemed to be watching her. The library was fairly crowded with other students, and Maya couldn't figure out who might have sent that message. She immediately blocked the account and tried to put it out of her mind. But the next day, a new account with a similar name started commenting on her posts. Maya blocked that one too, but within hours, another account appeared. Maya decided to make her Instagram private and only accept followers she knew personally. She went through her followers list and removed anyone she didn't recognize, which included removing about 200 accounts. For a few days, things seemed normal. Maya felt more secure knowing only her friends and family could see her posts. But then she started receiving direct messages from accounts that weren't following her. The messages were photos. Photos of Maya that she had never seen before and definitely hadn't posted anywhere. It's pictures of her walking to class, sitting in the cafeteria, entering her dorm building. Someone had been taking photos of her without her knowledge for weeks. Maya was terrified. She went to campus security immediately and showed them the messages. The security officer took a report and said they would increase patrols around her dorm, but there wasn't much else they could do since the harassment was happening online from anonymous accounts. That night, Maya received a message that made her realize how serious the situation had become. It was a photo of her dorm room window taken from outside the building with a message that said, "Sweet dreams, Maya. See you tomorrow." Maya called the police immediately. When they arrived, they searched the area around her dorm, but found no one. The officers advised Maya to stay with friends and consider changing her daily routines to make herself less predictable. Maya moved in with her roommate's family off campus for the rest of the semester. She deactivated all her social media accounts and became extremely cautious about her personal safety. The harassment stopped after she went offline, but Maya told me she still feels like she's being watched whenever she's out in public. Campus security eventually caught someone lurking around the dorms with a camera about a month later, but they could never definitively connect that person to Maya's harassment, since all the Instagram accounts had been created with fake information. Maya never found out who was stalking her or how they had gotten so much information about her daily routines. She said the experience made her realize how much personal information people share online without thinking about who might be watching. James was a 19-year-old who worked part-time at a local electronics store while attending community college. He had an Instagram account where he posted occasionally about his hobbies, which included gaming, skateboarding, and working on cars with his dad. James had about 800 followers, mostly people from his hometown and co-workers. He wasn't very active on social media, usually only posting once or twice a week. In September 2021, James posted a photo of a classic car he and his father were restoring in their garage. It was a 1967 Mustang that had been in his family for years. The post got more engagement than usual, with several car enthusiasts commenting and asking questions about the restoration process. One of the commenters was an account that claimed to be a vintage car expert. The profile looked legitimate, with photos of various classic cars and what appeared to be a middle-aged man who ran a restoration business. The account had thousands of followers and seemed knowledgeable about vintage automobiles. The car expert account sent James a direct message complimenting his work on the Mustang and asking if he would be interested in selling some parts they were looking for. James wasn't interested in selling anything, but he enjoyed talking to someone who shared his passion for classic cars. Over the next few weeks, the car expert would regularly comment on James's posts and send messages about cars. The conversations seemed normal, with the person sharing restoration tips and asking about James's progress on various projects. Then the car expert mentioned that he lived in the same state as James and suggested they meet up to look at each other's projects. James was excited about the possibility of meeting another car enthusiast and potentially learning new restoration techniques. They arranged to meet at a public parking lot near a popular car show venue. James told his father about the meeting, and his dad offered to come along, but James said he wanted to handle it himself, since he was trying to build connections in the car community. When James arrived at the meeting spot, he saw a man who looked much older than the photos on the Instagram account. The person appeared to be in his 50s or 60s, not the middle-aged man from the profile pictures. James felt immediately uncomfortable, but didn't want to be rude. The man introduced himself as Mike and said he was excited to meet James, but instead of talking about cars, Mike started asking personal questions about James's schedule, where he worked, and whether he lived with his parents. James tried to steer the conversation back to automobiles, but Mike seemed more interested in learning about James's personal life. Mike also kept taking photos with his phone, claiming he wanted to document their meeting for Instagram, but he was mostly taking pictures of James rather than any cars. After about 15 minutes of uncomfortable conversation, James made an excuse about needing to get home and left. Mike seemed disappointed and asked if they could meet again soon, but James said he would have to check his schedule. That night, James looked more carefully at the car expert's Instagram account. He realized that many of the car photos appeared to be stolen from other accounts or websites. The profile picture looked like it might have been downloaded from someone else's social media. James decided to block the account and not respond to any more messages. But over the next few days, he started receiving friend requests and messages from other accounts with similar names, tall, claiming to be car enthusiasts who wanted to meet him. James became suspicious and did some research. He discovered that several of the accounts messaging him were using photos stolen from legitimate car restoration businesses and enthusiasts. Someone was creating fake profiles specifically to target young men interested in classic cars. James reported the accounts to Instagram and also filed a report with local police. The officer who took the report said they had seen similar cases where predators used fake social media profiles to target young people with specific hobbies or interests. About a week later, James was at work when his manager told him someone had been asking questions about him. A man matching Mike's description had come into the electronics store claiming to be James's uncle and asking what days James worked and what time his shifts ended. James's manager had refused to give out any information, but it was clear that Mike had found out where James worked, probably from information James had shared on his Instagram account without thinking about it. James quit posting on Instagram entirely and asked his employer to be extra careful about who they gave information to regarding his work schedule. His father helped him report the incident to police again, and they advised James to vary his daily routines and be aware of anyone following him. The harassment eventually stopped, but James said the experience taught him to be much more careful about what personal information he shared online and who he trusted on social media platforms. Chloe was a 20-year-old art student who used Instagram to showcase her artwork and connect with other artists. She had built up a following of about 5,000 people who were genuinely interested in her paintings and digital art. Chloe was hoping to eventually make a career out of her art, so social media was an important tool for building her brand and finding potential clients. Chloe regularly posted photos of her artwork along with progress shots showing her creative process. She also occasionally shared photos of her workspace, art supplies, and herself working on various projects. Her content was always focused on art, never anything too personal about her daily life. In January 2023, Chloe received a direct message from an account that claimed to be an art collector from New York. The profile appeared to belong to someone who collected and sold artwork with photos of various paintings and sculptures. The account had several thousand followers and looked professional. The message said the person was interested in purchasing one of Chloe's paintings that she had posted the previous week. They offered to pay significantly more than Chloe usually charged for her work, and they said they were willing to pay immediately through PayPal or Venmo. Chloe was excited about the opportunity. As a college student, she was always struggling financially, and this sale would help her pay for art, supplies, and rent. She responded to the message, expressing interest in the sale. The art collector asked for more photos of the painting from different angles and under different lighting conditions. They also asked about the painting's dimensions, the type of paint and canvas used, and other technical details. All of these seemed like reasonable questions from a serious buyer. Over the next few days, the collector continued asking questions, but they started becoming more personal. They asked about Chloe's art education, where she went to school, and what her long-term career goals were. They also asked if she had a studio space or if she worked from home. Chloe answered most of the questions because she thought building a relationship with the collector could lead to more sales in the future. She mentioned that she worked from her apartment and sometimes from the art building at her college. The collector then asked if they could schedule a video call to discuss the purchase and potentially talk about buying more of Chloe's work in the future. They said they preferred to meet their artists personally and build long-term relationships. Chloe agreed to the video call, thinking it would be a great networking opportunity. They scheduled it for Sunday evening when Chloe would be free from classes. When the call connected, Chloe immediately felt uncomfortable. The person on the video didn't match the profile pictures she had seen. Instead of a well-dressed art collector, she saw a man who appeared to be in his 40s, sitting in what looked like a messy bedroom or basement. The man introduced himself as David and said he was calling from his home office, but the background didn't look professional at all. Chloe noticed there were no art pieces visible anywhere behind him, which seemed odd for someone who claimed to be a serious collector. David started the conversation by asking Chloe to show him around her workspace. He wanted to see her art supplies, her easel, and the area where she painted. Chloe felt strange about giving a virtual tour of her apartment to someone she had just met, but she thought it might help close the sale. As Chloe moved her laptop around to show different parts of her apartment, David kept asking her to linger in certain areas, particularly her bedroom and bathroom. He made comments about her living space that had nothing to do with art or the painting he supposedly wanted to buy. David then asked Chloe to show him some of her paintings that weren't posted on Instagram. He said he wanted to see her full range of work. When Chloe showed him several paintings, David seemed more interested in asking about when and where she had painted them than in the artistic techniques or style. The conversation became increasingly uncomfortable when David asked Chloe to paint something live during the call so he could watch her creative process. He suggested she paint a self-portrait and kept making comments about her appearance rather than her artistic abilities. Chloe started to realize that David might not be a legitimate art collector at all. She made an excuse about having homework to finish and ended the video call quickly. After the call, Chloe looked more carefully at the collector's Instagram account. She noticed that many of the art photos appeared to be taken from museum websites and galleries, rather than from a private collection. The account also had very few genuine interactions with other art-related accounts. Chloe decided not to sell the painting and stopped responding to messages from the collector. But over the next few days, she started receiving messages from other accounts claiming to be art collectors, galleries, and even art schools offering her scholarships. All of these accounts were asking similar personal questions and requesting video calls or in-person meetings. Chloe realized that someone was using multiple fake accounts to target young female artists on Instagram. She reported all the accounts to Instagram and also contacted campus security to let them know about the situation. The security officer said they had received similar reports from other students who were being targeted by fake accounts related to their hobbies or career interests. About a week later, Chloe was in the campus art building working on a project when one of her professors told her that someone had been asking questions about her. A man claiming to be from a gallery had called the art department asking about Chloe's class schedule and whether she often worked alone in the studios. The professor had refused to give out any information, but it was clear that whoever was behind the fake Instagram accounts had found out where Chloe went to school and was trying to get information about her in-person schedule. Chloe immediately changed her privacy settings on all social media accounts and stopped posting photos that showed identifiable locations or her workspace. She also started varying her schedule and never worked alone in the art studios late at night. The harassment eventually stopped, but Chloe said the experience made her much more cautious about sharing her art online and interacting with potential buyers through social media. She learned to always verify the legitimacy of art collectors and galleries before sharing personal information or agreeing to meetings. Chloe also discovered that several other young artists had been targeted by similar fake accounts, and she helped create an awareness campaign at her school to educate art students about online predators who specifically target creative individuals. The incident taught Chloe that predators often use people's passions and career ambitions against them, making fake opportunities seem legitimate to gain trust and access to personal information.